Power in Westeros is never abstract. It is a force that shapes, crushes, and corrupts, and it is measured not by titles alone, but by the choices each individual makes in pursuit of it. Across the kingdoms, across the generations, the story unfolds as a chain of decisions, each one echoing the virtues or vices of those who dare to wield authority. And from the very first steps into this world, we see how intention and consequence dance, sometimes in harmony, often in betrayal. The North arrives in the South not just with armies, but with ideals that are as rigid as the ice of Winterfell. Ned Stark, Lord of Winterfell, carries honor like a banner, believing that truth, once known, is a shield in itself. He uncovers the secret of Joffrey's parentage and chooses to confront it directly, believing that justice will prevail if he acts with integrity. But the City of Shadows and Whispers does not bend to honor. He negotiates, he trusts, he plays the part of a noble man, and yet his virtue becomes his vulnerability. By refusing to engage in the political theater, to manipulate, to lie, to play, he exposes himself to forces he cannot anticipate, and his head falls for it. This is the first lesson Westeros teaches. Integrity alone does not survive the game. However, the consequences of Ned's choices ripple north and south. Robb Stark, propelled by duty and loyalty, rises as the king in the North. His victories on the battlefield are undeniable, yet his sense of moral obligation to love and honor, marrying for love rather than alliance, undermines his strategic position. Here, virtue is both inspiration and poison. Robb wins the hearts of his people, but fails to read the currents of betrayal swirling around him. The Red Wedding becomes not just his death, but a testament to how moral clarity can be weaponized against you. And if you look further, Jon Snow, Ned's son in principle if not in name, carries the weight of this northern honor into the icy wall. Jon's early decisions, rescuing Sam, defending the Night's Watch, confronting the White Walkers, are guided by a belief in duty above self-interest. Yet even he learns that courage is insufficient against political expediency. He is betrayed by his own, resurrected not as a hero, but as a man burdened with the weight of knowledge, forced to navigate a world where morality is negotiable and survival is contingent on compromise. Whereas the Starks grapple with the consequences of virtue, the Lannisters exploit its absence. Cersei Lannister moves with a predator's patience, her ambition sharpened by a city that rewards cunning. When Joffrey ascends, cruelty and caprice dominate the throne, a reflection of how unchecked power without principle becomes chaos incarnate. Cersei observes, manipulates, and absorbs the lessons of her family's survival. Yet even her cunning cannot entirely shield her from loss. Her children, instruments of her strategy, die, leaving her to consolidate power in isolation. If you look at her arc, it is a study in how ambition, when fused with personal grief and desire for control, warps the soul. Her victories are Pyrrhic, her crown heavy, and ultimately, her fall is the result of trusting in permanence in a world that is anything but. But then power shifts with the march of armies and the flash of ambition in other corners. Stannis embodies the paradox of moral rigor in pursuit of the throne. He is a man of law and principle, exacting justice without compromise. His march south to claim the Iron Throne is marked by a refusal to bend, a stubbornness that mirrors the honor of the Starks but with the ambition of a Lannister. His adherence to moral rectitude, however, isolates him. As her armies march across Westeros, her early idealism, the belief in breaking chains and delivering fairness, gradually hardens into a relentless vision of what must be, often at the expense of what is. If you look at her siege of King's Landing, the tragedy crystallizes. She chooses destruction, believing fear is the only path to lasting peace. Her dragons become both instruments of hope and terror, emblematic of the power she cannot fully restrain. The culmination of her arc, when Jon confronts her in the throne room, is the inevitable clash of principle and power. Her death is not a simple consequence of rebellion. It is the result of a journey in which ambition, empathy, grief, and ideology converge, demonstrating how the same qualities that inspire loyalty and liberation can ultimately precipitate catastrophe. Meanwhile, Tyrion Lannister navigates the corridors of influence with intellect and adaptability. Unlike Cersei, his survival hinges on humility and moral reflection, yet even he is drawn into the machinery of power that corrupts and kills. From his trial in King's Landing to advising Daenerys, his choices are both strategic and ethical, illustrating that the line between collaboration and complicity is fragile. If you look at Tyrion's life, it is defined not by conquest or victory, but by endurance, by navigating moral compromise in a world where survival often demands participation and cruelty. Through this weave of honor, ambition, cunning, and consequence, Westeros emerges not merely as a backdrop, but as a character itself, one that reflects the tragedies and lessons of those who sought to control it. The lives of Ned, Robb, Jon, Cersei, Stannis, Littlefinger, Daenerys, and Tyrion are intertwined by the pursuit of power, yet each is defined by how their virtues, vices, and choices collide with the moral gravity of the world around them. A lie, a promise, a betrayal, a sacrifice, each resonates, shaping history and destiny alike. The tragedy of power in Westeros is timeless because it mirrors reality. Virtue can expose, ambition can blind, and the cunning can be undone by the very chaos they propagate. Honor does not guarantee survival. Loyalty does not secure justice. Love can be both shield and weapon. And as the final camera pans across the ruins of the Iron Throne, across the frozen north and the charred south, the lesson remains. Power is never owned. It is borrowed, contested, and fleeting, and the human cost is both inevitable and eternal. In the end, what defines the survivors is not strength, nor cunning, nor even virtue, but the capacity to navigate the treacherous interplay of all three and to accept that in the Game of Thrones, the heart often pays the highest price.